first. My name is Mickey Gamonal, and I run asvabdomination.com. So if you know anybody who's trying to take the ASVAB, go ahead and check that out at asvabdomination.com.
Paula Williams, ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services.
What she said, and I do the back end stuff for her. I'm John Williams.
Cool. And then Mark, if you just want to say who you are and what you do.
I'm Mark Parry, Global Aircraft Group, Certified Aircraft Appraisals, Expert Witness, and IRS Appraisals, and pre-buy aircraft sales consultant.
Cool.
Fantastic.
And a few other things.
And whatever else goes. All right, I get it.
Yeah. Expert Witness probably covers a pretty wide range of things. So, good deal.
Yeah, Mark has all the stories about court cases and divorces and God knows what all that he probably doesn't want to tell us. But it's kind of cool.
I want to do a podcast on it.
Yeah, we should.
That would be really cool.
To do.
Right, of things not to do.
And how to hide your aircraft.
Oh my goodness.
How and where to hide your aircraft, or not.
Yeah.
That'll probably get clicks. That sounds like it would get clicks for sure, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we should do that. Let's plan on one.
Cool. So as far as Facebook versus Google ads goes, if you guys just want to kind of share your experience with it, I think that can be a good place to start. Mark, have you tried running any ads at all in your experience?
Yeah, I did Google Ads about 2 years ago, and for just the aircraft appraisal side, and I did for like 2 or 3 months. And what was good is I learned like what the key words are, and it turned out there were not a lot of people searching for aircraft appraisers.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit all the keywords in.
Gotcha. Do you want to tell us what some of the keywords, were there any keywords that kind of surprised you? Anything that stood out?
Yeah, Google, the guy that Googled was really good. The kid, the guy that I was working with, we went through everything, and we would jet appraisals, plane data, or just a lot of aircraft appraisals, jet appraisals, certified appraisals, that kind of thing. So it's about 6 terms that were specific to what I'm doing that I thought would generate some business. I did it for like 2 or 3 months, and it was sadly disappointing.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I didn't have all my marketing together like I do now, thanks to ABCI and Paula. So now, maybe it's a good idea to look at that.
Right. Well, we did run a Google ad for your YouTube channel when we launched it. And, that was kind of a different story just because it was very specific. It was not just hire me, which is kind of a stretch, I think, for somebody in a really high trust profession. It's like seeing somebody in the yellow pages and hiring somebody
out of the book
because you saw them in the book. If it's watch my video, that got about 1,000 views, on about a 5-day Google ad. Basically, the intent of the ad was to launch your YouTube channel and to get people watching your video. So whether that translates into business is something that's yet to be seen, but I think sometimes people ask too much of an ad. If it's here I am, hire me, that's a little bit different than a read this article or watch this video or something along those lines. It's kind of a step in the process. The problem with that is that it is harder to calculate your return on investment because, you won't know for 6 or 8 months, if they saw your video, and if they did, then if they hire you, those kinds of things, if that is a long sales cycle. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to your first customer saying they saw your video.
Yeah.
But until that happens, I can't prove anything, right?
Well, I'll be asking to find out what's
Good.
working best.
Yeah.
How about you, Mom? What's your experience? If we should probably stick to, as Mark, like, follow Mark's lead, the Google ads. What is your experience with
And then
that?
we'll talk about Facebook and that kind of thing. So yeah, sounds good. Google ads, I think, of the people that I know that run them, the flight schools do really well. And the reason that I think they do really well is because all of the other flight schools, if all of the other flight schools are running Google ads, then you have to run Google ads. And the only way to make them cost effective is if you have a better website than your competitors do, because they charge you based on what they call a quality score. So if your website is already ranking really well and you're in the top 5 for a particular keyword, then they charge you pennies for an ad that they're going to charge other people dollars for.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like ASVAB tutor, if your website is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for that keyword, and then you run an ad for ASVAB tutor, you're going to have a really high quality score. And so you're going to be paying maybe 7, 10, 20 cents an ad, where your competitors, who either doesn't have a website or their website's not indexed or it's just not set up right, they're going to be paying dollars, up to $4 or $5 a click for the same traffic that you're getting. So you have an unfair advantage by setting up your website in a way that Google recognizes, and you have good SEO. So that's kind of how they're related, SEO and advertising ads, Google ads.
We run the numbers on our own website, and you can very clearly see exactly what she's talking about.
Right.
And how do you see it? Do you see that by comparing it with your top competitors, or do you see it through another means?
Well, you see it on Google with what they call a quality score. When you set up a Google ad, it will tell you this is the keyword, this is your quality score for that keyword, and so on. And if your quality score is good, then the price for that keyword is really, really low. If your quality score is less good, then even on a really competitive keyword, you're going to have a higher price for that.
But to answer your question specifically, yes, we run our competitors against us, and you can see in one chart how they're doing, what they're paying, what all their stats are compared to ours, and then we know what we have to do.
And that's using SEMrush. So that's a piece of software that we have. You can see the quality score just on Google, so you don't have to pay for anything extra.
Right.
For that. But yeah, so not to get too nerdy, but the main point that I want to make is just, it really makes a big difference if you have a good organic SEO before you run Google ads. So I really don't recommend that people run Google ads unless they're in the top 5 or at least the top 10 for a particular keyword.
Interesting.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're kind of throwing money away, and Google has enough money. They don't need any money.
At least they don't need any of our money.
No, they don't need any of our money, and they don't need any of our clients' money. That they don't give a good solid return for. So, YouTube is a little bit different because Google owns YouTube. So, to promote a video, I don't have a problem with running an ad to promote a video if I think we've got a good video that's going to actually get the right people and get some attention.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably one of the most overlooked things. At least that's something I overlooked when I first got into ads, was where I was sending people based on like what, like you do all this work to get them to click, right? Like there's a ton of fluff and like a ton of like make sure that you have like a good hyperlink and a good da 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 da. But it never, one thing that I never really considered is where to send them, because there's actually a lot of different places you can. If you've been, like, I'm sure in Mark's case, you sound like you've done a lot of different jobs, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you could optimize a Google ad, like theoretically.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that because I just targeted the appraisal side. Okay. Where I should target, or I need, and I've made a lot of changes in everything that I offer. So it'll cost more money, but that makes a lot of sense.
Right. Well, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost more money to do the same sort of an ad. But, if you look at it from your customer's perspective and say, rather than just aircraft appraisers, say, getting a divorce, own an aircraft, you need to talk to me like right now. And I think that would get people's attention a whole lot better than just aircraft appraisers, because people don't think they need one. But if you put yourself in their shoes and you go, this is why you need to talk to me. From their point of view, they don't need an aircraft appraiser, but they are getting a divorce. So that's
when I did it the last time, and hope maybe you guys can help me get it accurate. So there were certain words, if you like say you put divorce in, people are going to be clicking on divorce, and then they may just hit your page and it runs your ad up.
Oh, yeah.
You added divorce to your thing.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't use it as a keyword. I'd use that as a headline.
Okay. Because I don't know. Yeah. So you guys know how to do all that stuff, and I don't. So.
That's okay.
So the difference between a keyword and a headline, then the headline is what they see and what they click, right? And so you want a headline to be as attractive, even if you're using things that are just like out there, right? You want it to be something that's clickable, as opposed to a keyword where that's where you're going to niche down. That's where you want to specifically.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that. As an appraiser, he doesn't want to use divorce as a keyword, because if he does that too many times, Google's going to say, "Wait a minute, this is black hat operation, kill it."
Right? They're going to say divorce has nothing to do with appraising because Google's a dumb robot. I mean, Google is made of dumb robots. So, it will say this is a poor quality score. People who are looking for appraisers aren't necessarily, that's not a related topic. So you put your keywords in just the way that Mark did it the first time, but you're going to write your ad differently and maybe send them to a page that says, here are 10 things you need to know if you're getting divorced and you own an airplane,
Exactly.
Because then it's something that's super specific. They go, oh, wow, I hadn't thought of that. I really do need to talk to this guy. So you have to put yourself in your customer's shoes and think, what is a situation where they really need to talk to me? How can I get them, get their attention at the time that they need me, and not just when it's a nice thing to have, but when they really need me,
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I would like to do that for all about 4 streams of services.
Right.
The pre-buy inspections / consulting, IRS appraisals, and museum appraisals. They kind of go together.
Yeah.
There's bank appraisals.
Right.
For financing. And I also added in, I can also do insurance, accident type stuff too now.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. So, those are 3 or 4 different opportunities where a customer is going to recognize themselves in a headline and go, oh my gosh, I need to find out what this guy has to say.
Yeah. So I don't know if you could bundle that together into an ad or not. I don't
know. Yeah, no, we want to be as separate as we can get, because people who are getting divorces are not having accidents, or hopefully they're not, they're a totally different audience. So we would probably do that as 4 different campaigns, but you can do that in Google is set up separate campaigns, just like you can in Facebook. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And so on Google, you would set that up so like you would have an insurance, an IRS, and a museum. We'll say those three. We'll just imagine those three campaigns. So you would have those three campaigns set up.
Yeah.
And then would you have three different links, or how would you kind of go through? How would you go about that?
Well, and I can show you. I don't want to get too deep into the, let's see if I can do a share screen here. This is our campaigns. We've got 4 of them. Actually, 2 of them are active MRO campaigns and flight school templates, or MRO templates and flight school templates. So you can see, I just manage them all from this one page. And if I wanted to see just one, this is actually kind of a nicer dashboard than Google's. And I can see when I started this campaign, it was going crazy, and then it kind of tapered off a little bit. So that tells me that maybe those ads aren't as good as they could be. So I'd go back to this campaign and make some more ads and see if I can bump that up again. If the same people are seeing these ads and they're getting tired of them or whatever. So.
Got you. And you can see that, because I know Facebook's relatively similar, right? Like you can see the frequency, which is how often it's viewed, or the reach versus the impressions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, here it's the view rate is 8.21. And I would have to, you can also change this to, number of clicks. I've gotten 2 clicks from this at about 82 cents a piece, which is great for me. If I have a 1 out of 10 or better conversion rate, if 1 out of 10 people that contacts me or that clicks on this and fills out a form, 1 out of 10 of those turns into a customer, then I'm making money. I can do this all day long.
Right.
So, that works really well.
I think that's the best way, or at least that's what I've heard a lot of different people who work with ads say to think of it, is that you're not necessarily paying for sales. Like you're paying for sales, but you really want to kind of break even. Is that accurate? Or is that what you go for? Or what's your rule of thumb for ads?
Well, and for Facebook and for Google, both, the problem is it's like Halloween candy, right? It's so easy and so cheap to do it that people think, okay, well, for $5 a day, I can just do one more or do one more or do one more, and not really keep track. And then pretty soon you've eaten half a bucket of candy, and you would have been better off just planning to eat a freaking candy bar and commit to the candy bar and eat the candy bar, enjoy the candy bar, and move on with your life. So, that's, I think, the biggest failing of Google ad campaigns and also Facebook ad campaigns is that they're just so easy to do that people don't really plan them, and then they don't really measure them. Right. So most people that run Google or Facebook ads don't actually measure and say, of those 2 people who filled out a form, do I know who those 2 people are? And can I say that one of them is a good prospect, or at least, is still in the running or has bought something from me? And if I can't say those 2 things, and there's usually a time lag as well, which makes it even harder to measure. So I know we talked about this last week. If you don't ask people, where did you find me, then you don't know that it was a Facebook ad, or you don't know it was a video, or you don't know what it was.
Right.
And then you can't trace it back and go, okay, I spent X amount to attract this person. And it's never really accurate, because they may have seen the Facebook ad, but they may have seen a podcast 2 weeks ago, and then they may have met me at NBAA last month, and then, so forth and so on and so forth. So which of those actually influenced them to pick up the phone and call? I don't know. And they probably don't know. So it becomes really hard to calculate your ROI. But I like to at least have one solid number, and say, yes, they clicked on this. That cost me 82 cents. They may have done 47 other things besides that, but, at least I know this much. So cool. Then they spend $19.99 on a set of templates. I'm happy, life is good. I can do that 20 more times and not lose money.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's, kind of the just in Google ads. And I think, if there were two main thoughts about Google ads, is just don't take them lightly and measure the heck out of your results, and I think that's true of both of them. Just because they're easy doesn't mean anybody should be just doing them and not measuring what comes out of them, because, you end up losing money really fast.
I think you need to add a third thing, that is to be way heavy on the analysis before you decide to even get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as a business owner myself, I'm on the back end, right? And I see myself spending money on ads. Like I knew we were doing this podcast today, so I went back into my Google Ads account, and I had done, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or something pretty similar to Mark. I mean, not quite like the 3 months, but a couple weeks to try, just try it out and see if people start throwing their credit cards at me. And it didn't happen like that, but it did give me some results, right? And it is pretty easy to view and kind of see, okay, I think I got like 22 clicks or something like that over, it must have been like $22 because it was like $1 a click, something like that. And so that seems like useful information, but it sounds like there's a lot more, like there's a ton of weeds there. Is that correct? There's like a lot more information built into an ad campaign that I don't know that I can read. I mean, it seems like you may need someone who kind of specializes in that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, let's take some time and just dig into what you did find out, and, find out what you did find out about your keywords and headlines and other things. I don't know if you know Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. You've heard of that book, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I listen to his podcast all the time. Tim Ferriss.
He got his title for that book by using Google AdWords.
Right.
So, yeah. What he did is he ran a bunch of different headlines for different ads to see, and he was selling products and everything, or selling consulting or whatever, but trying to get traffic to his website using Google AdWords. But what he did is he took the best performing title and turned that into the title of his book. So, if you're looking for something like, what should the headline be on my website, or what should the headline be on my book, or what do people really respond to?
Digital products and everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What do people really respond to? You can get a good answer to that question by spending, I think you spent $100 testing 4 different titles. And that turned out to be the best title. And it's turned out to be a best-selling book. So, it's useful for a lot of different things, but he really knew what he was doing. He measured every stinking click, and, he knew exactly how to set it up so that he would know exactly how to run that so that it would be a fair test and everything else.
Well, and what trips me out about Tim Ferriss specifically is he has like a very successful podcast now. And he's written a ton of books, right? He's written Tools of Titans. We've done that here in book club.
Yeah.
He wrote 4-Hour Body and he had another 4-hour one, 4-Hour Workweek, 4-Hour Body, 4-Hour Chef, I think was the other one.
Oh yeah. A cookbook.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And his big thing now is sleep, and he's trying to get really good at sleep, and he's probably going to write another book about that. But his website has always been 4hourworkweek.com, and it probably always will be. And I guess that makes sense because that's what the data shows, right? Like that's what he picked that very intentionally. And I guess when you can make that level of an informed decision, you would never deviate, right? Like you can't lose. So.
Right. Well, and then everything he sells is just compounding that brand, because everybody knows Tim Ferriss is the 4-hour guy, right? Mm-hmm. So everything he sells is selling the next one and selling the next one. And, that's just brand equity, building that equity in his brand forever. And everything he does is an investment in that brand. So, the first thing
we try to impart to our clients so that they know we're doing the same thing for themselves.
Yeah. So he's probably sick to death of it, and if he were one of our clients, he'd probably be fighting us going, I am so tired of this. I want to do something different. And we'd be going, no,
You can't. You're tied to it. You can do
know?
anything you want, but you have to keep this name, right?
Right. I don't care if you're writing a cookbook. It's got to be a 4-hour cookbook, and you got to find a way to make it relevant to 4 hours, because that's what you do.
It's like a one-hit wonder. It's like if Blues Traveler goes on tour anywhere, they gotta do that song,
Traveler, yeah.
Well, and I don't remember who said the quote, but when you hit the right process to where making money becomes boring, you nailed it. Then like it's boring, but that's what you got to do because it's repeatable. You got it nailed, and it's just very, very tweaking here and there, but keeping the mainstream flow.
Right, and then it's just scaling and tweaking and scaling and tweaking and so on.
Well, and that's what everybody wants to do, right? Like we all want a clean house, we all want to just go gangbusters and like maintain. But I guess that does get old for people. But yeah.
But boring works.
Dang. The world's smallest violin.
Good problem.
Yeah, good problem to have. Okay, so let's move on to Facebook, if you don't mind, and let's talk about Facebook ads.
For sure. So
you've got more experience with this one, I think, Mickey, right?
Yeah, this one I know pretty well. I've definitely spent more than $20 on Facebook. I was looking over my last 2 years, and it's about $2,000 overall.
Okay.
So I follow a lot of people who spend way more, there's a 6-figure tutor, and there's a 6-figure business coach, and like all these people who drop, thousands and thousands of dollars on ads. Yeah. And I like Facebook ads, probably more because I'm familiar with it and I understand a little bit of how it works. I understand, like, one of the things that I really, really struggled with, anybody who's getting into Facebook ads, I'm going to recommend, is the pixel. It's not as scary as you usually, like, I made it out to be much more difficult than it is. It really is just a piece of code. It's like a little snippet of code that you put in the headline. And this, like, I think it stops people from using ads, really, because it is one of the most fundamental pieces, right? Like, the way that a pixel works is it tells you, if your ad is performing, basically.
Right.
The difference between a Facebook ad without a pixel, and Google has this as a pixel as well, but the difference between a Facebook ad with a pixel and without a pixel is, with the pixel, you can tell what they do on your page after they've clicked.
Exactly.
And without a pixel, you have no idea what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So their IP address, right, whether they're using a cell phone or a computer, it leaves a mark on your website so that okay, this person came from Facebook and then he stopped viewing my video at 30 seconds or something like that. Or, this person gave me their email address after coming from Facebook. Yeah. I think that it only cost me $2,000, but I'm starting to understand how that pixel thing works and the value in it, really. So that's been to my benefit.
Oh, smart. Cool. Mark, have you ever done anything with Facebook ads or?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's way out of my wheelhouse.
That's totally cool. It's
I'm trying to figure that out. I just kind of, you helped me get my business page up and going, but I'm still trying to figure out how that works to actually get customers, because the business page seems to really just connect with groups.
Yeah. And people,
I don't know how you get to those groups, and I just don't know how it works. Right. I'm getting left in the technological dust.
Go ahead.
Really, 6 years ago, all you had, you could hire an IT kid out of a community college, and he could build up your web page, and you'd be at the top, and that's all you had to worry about. Yeah. Now it's the web page, it's the Facebook, the YouTube, it's all that together, and
kind of an arms race, really.
Yeah, and I like Facebook's I'm even wondering about Facebook, because there's so much stuff going down.
Right.
A lot of people are kind of fed up with it, I think.
Well, they say
Anyway.
that, but the numbers don't really change that much. I mean, everybody was going to leave Facebook after the election last year, but their numbers really didn't change all that much.
Well, you got to remember,
Yeah.
Facebook gives the most immature, most uneducated person the same microphone as a totally educated PhD or the president of some organization or country.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear noise about something, but you look at the numbers and nothing changes. It's just bullshit. They're just complaining, or they're trying to get you to do one thing. In reality, nothing's changing. It's a smoothly flowing machine.
It is. So, kind of under the covers. What I
There's like a
recommend.
ton of pilots, Challenger pilots. There's groups like that I'm trying to find, tap them, but then I'm not sure you can advertise to them. So I don't know how to get around all that.
And it depends on the group. Some of the groups you can't advertise to, you just have to jump into their conversations, and become a member of the group, that they know, like, and trust. And you just do that by being a human, and being involved in the conversations. But one thing that I do recommend, I think, for everybody is to have a retargeting campaign on Facebook, because that's fairly inexpensive. And what it does is you put the pixel on your website, and then when somebody goes from your website to Facebook at some point in the future, they're going to see an ad for your services. So this is somebody that's been on your website, so you know that they are at least have some interest in you, whether they're your mom or whether you're a potential customer or whatever. They've been on your website, and then they see an ad for you on Facebook. And it's just a really cheap and easy, I think, way to make them remember you and to stay top of mind.
Does Google have something similar to that? Can you do a retargeting, or?
You can, but it's easier on Facebook because everybody's always on Facebook. Right. I mean, just the numbers on Facebook are on Google. You'd have to set it up like as a and usually retargeting ads on Google, we'd usually use like a YouTube video or something, have that show up somewhere on the edge of what they're, they go to the Wall Street Journal or whatever and have your YouTube video show up in the corner or something like that. So we could do that on Google, but it is actually cheaper on Facebook to do the same thing.
Good to know. Cool.
Yeah. So, and I think I recommend that for everybody because, if they've been to your website, it's a fairly good bet that you want them to remember you, that's a worthwhile bit of money,
Yeah. It's theoretically a better prospect than any other definable characteristic. If you're looking at airline pilots, if you could look at all of the airline pilots in the country or in the world, you're definitely better off looking at the airline pilots who have seen your stuff because they're much more likely to buy. That makes sense.
Yeah, because they found you for some reason, chances are that reason is still there if they're not a customer yet. They should be a customer. They just don't know it yet.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's probably the edge that Facebook has is with Facebook, you can definitely target a little bit better. When I was creating the ad campaign today on Google, it was more like anybody in Vegas and never asked me any ages, never asked me, and Facebook, you can literally target down by ASVAB. Like you can look for people who have an interest in this obscure test, which is much, seems much more effective, but remains to be seen. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, on Google, you're pretty much doing your targeting with keywords, somebody that types this into a search window, that's the person I want to talk to. On Facebook, you're going by demographics. So who they are, not what they're doing, not what they're searching for.
And later on, you should talk to, if you haven't already, Paula and or me about a couple of, at least one other line of business that might be easy for you to jump into. She and I talked about it last night.
So,
We're coming up with new ideas for you.
right. I'm trying to like funnel like this, guys.
I know you're trying to focus.
Well, this is all military stuff, all military education.
Yeah,
Good deal.
no, that's cool. I get it. And I don't want to talk to you if you
No,
far be it from us to push anybody in a direction they don't want to go, other than when you were younger. Anyway, so yeah, any famous last words on Facebook or Google ads, and then we'll jump into office hours, and anybody's welcome to work on anything they want to work on.
So if I were to like say the main difference between Facebook ads and Google ads, Facebook ads, you can target who you want to target, and go after who you're trying to go after. Google ads is open to everybody. So it's going to be anybody who's using Google.
Yeah, you can target using Google ads, but it's not something that's nearly as easy as,
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, and not nearly as granular as Facebook.
Okay, cool.
Question.
Yeah.
The targeting on Facebook, how does that work? How do you do that?
Pretty good.
Let me share one more time.
I could share screen.
Oh, do you want to do one?
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
You'd have to. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. While she's pulling it up, Mark, I can tell you that you have to go into the ad, and there's 3 levels, just like in Google. So there's going to be the campaign. So that's whatever you name your big overarching campaign. We'll say museum, the A word, the word that you do. Appraisal. Yes. So museum appraisals, right? And so that's going to be the name of your campaign. It's for everything for museum appraisals. On the second level, this is the ad set. So inside of ad sets, that's where you can name all different interests. So anything you've ever liked, like if you liked a band or something like that, that shows up as public information on Facebook. So any you can target people who only like a specific band as your target audience if you wanted to. But for museum appraisals, you'd probably be looking for people who are associated with museum. So go ahead, Mom. I just was trying to fill time.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a nice synopsis. I'm going to show you the easy way. Once again, this is something that we want to be really, really careful with. It's like Halloween candy. It's so easy that
boosting posts. Yep.
Right.
It's too convenient. That's the best clickbait, really.
Right. So I click boost post, and this I would not have recommended a year ago, but now it's a little bit easier than it used to be to target an audience. So now I can see I have a goal. I want to get more calls. And what I'm doing is I am boosting last week's discussion about sticky branding. So, we have a video that we're boosting. My goal is going to be to get more. I'm going to take all the defaults on this just to show you how it's going to assume that I want to do it. Get more calls, and it has my number right there. And okay, that's a good goal. I'm going to leave that one as it is. If I wanted, I could change that to get clicks or do something else. And say, sign up or shop now or get directions or whatever, but we'll leave it as call now. Audience, who should see my ad? This is the important bit right here. And it's going to choose a default for me and say, location, living in the United States, age 18 to 65, matches these interests, and it's guessing what I'm going to want, right? So marketing, National Business Aviation Association, aviation or digital marketing, and it's guessing this based on what's in the ad and the ads that I've run in the past. But I can click the pencil and I can change this and say, I only want the Western United States. So I only want, Utah, Colorado, and so on. And it'll tell me how big my audience is from that point. I can also change the age. And let's say I only want 35 and older because those are my best customers. And you can see the estimated audience size getting smaller every time I do this. And then I can add other interests or delete some and say, I want people who are also interested in the ASVAB. And this is going to go down to almost 0, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's still a pretty decent audience size. You know why? Because it's adding these together rather than taking them.
Yep. It's not narrowing.
Yeah. So I'm going to take these out except for that. And it's going to go down to almost 0. Because there's not very many people.
So that ad will go out to just all the Facebook members, regardless of groups that you're in and the like.
Right. It doesn't take any of that into account. The only thing that it does is people who are in Utah, 35 to 65 plus in, I said Utah. So anything that I add in this section here.
And it'll hit the private pages.
Nope. They don't have to like my page. They don't have to belong to a group that I belong to. They don't have to do any of those things unless I choose them. So I can choose people that like you saw National Business Aviation Association. That's the one that I like to choose because those are usually good customers for me.
Like in my personal Facebook page, I'll have ads come through that I'm like, why are they there? But they're there.
Yeah.
And so will that, if we do that for my business, will that happen to,
They have to meet these criteria. So they have to be in Utah, they have to be interested in ASVAB, and they have to be 35 plus.
Okay.
But other than that, anything goes.
So that app the algorithms will find those people and then put your ad into their business page or their personal page or both.
It will go into their news feed. So when they're scrolling through Facebook, it will come up as one of the things that comes up. There are some other places that Facebook puts them, but mostly the news feed is what we're shooting for. So when they're scrolling through, you go to Facebook and you look at your, what comes up first, and you start scrolling through some of those things. That's one of the things that will come up when they scroll.
Like for people that aren't on Facebook all the time or every day, what happens then? Does it save it and just wait for them and then put it in there when they do go on, or does it just?
Well, and that's the thing. I can run this
on 2 days later, and then your ad didn't make it to them.
Okay, so I could run this for 3 days. I could run this for a month. I could run this for however long I want to run this. And it will reach.
You can even run it undefined. You can get rid of the end date so that it charges you $5 for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you're right, Mark. Like it's only going to last on, like if your target audience isn't on Facebook over the next week, we'll say, they're not going to see it over the next week because that's the only place that this ad is going to show. And so if they come on 2 weeks from now, but your ad campaign's over, those people won't see it. But everybody that was on Facebook during that week will have seen it.
Do you pay by like Google, or you pay by the click, or you just pay the flat rate and then whatever happens?
This is kind of a confusing thing. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Nikki.
You know way more than I do on this one. Go ahead.
Depending on your account with Facebook, sometimes it will have a cap of $50. So as soon as you reach $50, it will bill you, whether that takes 1 day or 5 days or 10 days or 30 days. Or it will bill you once a month. So they usually tell you, for example, like my Facebook pixel's not active. I need to do something about that. But they'll tell you.
Yeah, we talk about this because I do the billing. I mean, I watch the money and all of a sudden I get this bill from Facebook or one from Google Ads. And wait a minute, you didn't tell me this is going to happen.
Yeah, and it was from a month ago, and it's for like $250.
Yeah.
So our cap is $250 right now because we've run a lot of Google ads. So it will never bill us until we hit $250, and it might take us 6 months or a year to run up a bill that big, and it won't bill us until it hits that threshold.
That's how I found you guys. That's how I found you on Google.
Oh, cool.
And it did take the 6 months because I contacted you guys as part of my New Year's resolution.
Oh, I know. Life gets in the
Um,
way, and
Prior to COVID, I actually had worked with to do a Facebook campaign thing. He was going to it's just pump whatever you got for advertising into Facebook.
oh,
And the pandemic hit, so then when things started to ease up in January, then I'm like, okay. And I tried to find him; he was gone. And then I talked to you briefly, and then looked at the money, and then wasn't until the summer when I met with Jeremy. Then I just decided, then I called back, and we were able, and some more money had come in, and I was in a better place to do it. So anyway,
gotta
yeah.
love Jeremy.
So anyway, that's how I found you. It was from Google Ads, and then a conversation, and then a great recommendation from Jeremy Cox too. So
Yeah.
So anyway.
Cool. Well, I really like Mickey's a thing that you said about cryptocurrency, and I think this applies here. Do you remember what that was, Mickey?
No, go ahead.
You said you'd be crazy not to invest in it, but you're also crazy to invest your rent money, or something like that. You'd be crazy to depend on it, but
Right.
You'd be crazy not to try it.
Yeah.
I think is what you said. So I think the same thing applies here. I think everybody should be spending, less than $20 a month unless they really know what they're doing with Google Ads, because you can get a lot of benefit from the retargeting ad or from, something very small, and spend less than $20 a month without messing up your life. But I also think, going crazy on Google Ads, unless you really know what you're doing, like Mickey said, there's people that spend thousands of dollars on, and we've got clients that spend thousands of dollars on Google Ads, and they're making money from it, and they can prove it, and they're happy, and they can do that all day long, because if you spend $1 to make $2, then you want to spend all the money you can on that.
And then we have competitors, and because of how smart she is, they are spinning themselves into the ground, and they can't catch us.
Once, I charged $15,000 for the last trial I did.
So one,
a lot of advertising money. I just need to get some traction again. Post, I hope to say post pandemic. And so anyway, there's once you get some traction, and you're want appraisals, on a business jet's 5 to 7, and some of the guys are getting up to 7,500 for a bank appraisal. So there's a huge potential there once the momentum gets reestablished.
Yeah, that's true. You have nice transaction values.
Yeah. Oh, good deal. Well, let's just pitch out. I think that's good for today. Unless, is there anything else that you guys want to say about ads, Facebook ads or Google ads?
I'm good, thanks.
Cool. All right, my name is Mickey Gamonal. I'm an ASVAB tutor. Anybody who needs help, look me up at asvabdomination.com.
Paula Williams, ABCI, can help aviation companies sell more of their products.
Or do what she said. I'm John Williams.
Mark Parry, Global Aircraft Group.
Fantastic.